Alright folks, welcome to another Legacy video, and I have successfully hooked myself. I'm casting Primeval Titans in the Legacy format, and doing so in style alongside Amulet of Vigor. Obviously this is my favorite deck of all time, and since Modern is garbage, I have to find other ways to play. So I've actually been playing, I played this yesterday in an event in paper at my favorite LGS of all time, that is Nightwear in Los Angeles, and I ended up with a 3-1 record, even though I did not have access to handwear battlements. I did not have the One Ring, and I didn't realize that I actually had 2 Bojuki Box until round number 3. So even with all of that, I ended up going 3-1, which was very, very cool. And the deck did very well versus all of the Beans decks. I've already played against 2 of them, and I kind of destroyed them both times. Even though they were drawing like 6 cards a turn, they were not able to keep up with what I was doing, which was very cool. So it feels like this deck is working on an angle that most decks are not necessarily ready for. So as long as you're dodging, getting wastelanded every turn, you are kind of looking pretty good. So I made a couple of changes from the previous list that I did. Obviously in the previous list I did not have the One Ring, so we're going to be trying that out. And then I have a 3rd copy of Udo. I realized that Udo is the card that I was always Green Sun Anything for, because it is a way to catch up, it is a way to like keep the land drops coming and also keep the cards coming. So Udo was just a lot better than Azusa in this specific build, so I ended up going with Udo number 3 instead of the Azusa. I also did something a little bit blasphemous in that I cut the Dread Arbor. Like, the card Orgis Masters is everywhere, and this deck kind of doesn't care too much about it besides the Udo and the One Ring. So just Significant 1 for Dread Arbor ended up being way too much of a liability in the current format. So that means that Zenith is no longer a turn 1 play, which can be a little bit awkward. Yeah, I mean, the card is potentially one I could imagine having in the sideboard, but there's too many orcs running around these days, so I wanted to just have access to that's how I made room for the 3rd copy of Uro, or I guess that's how I made room for the 2nd copy of One Ring. So we're gonna be trying this list out. Some crazy stuff going on here. Finally in the sideboard I added a Mazovith and the Vesuva as opposed to the Philolet that I had before. Vesuva doubles as extra copies of something like Bojuki Bog, or even Caracas. Your opponent, your depth opponent, attempts to wasteland your Caracas, and in response you crop rotation for Vesuva. So having access to this kind of place seemed very enticing to me, so that's why I went with the Vesuva instead. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Excited, and I've actually been having some actual fun playing Legacy as opposed to Modern, which has been embarrassing. So excited to try out some more. We'll see how things go this time around. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for round number 1. Okay, round number 1. This hand seems potentially okay. So we have Exploration, which is the best card in the deck, and we also have Once Upon a Time. We don't have a threat to grow towards, but having access to crop rotation is nice, protects us from stuff like Wasteland and whatnot. So I'm hoping that Once Upon a Time will find me a threat, potentially Ursa Saga. We could just crop rot for a Saga if we wanted to. I'm probably going to be doing that. Oh nice, my opponent says that they're a fan of my pre-modern content. Oh, thank you so much. So let's start things off with Once Upon a Time, because this card is somehow legal. We can go for Growth Chamber here. I mean, Udo is probably too important though. Yeah, so we're just gonna have to go for Udo. And let's play Exploration, and then I'm going to play a Windswept Heath, and I'm gonna hold up Crop Rotation as opposed to playing Exploration number 2. No Covered Mountain, Lotus Petal. It's scary. But fortunately we drew our Collector Roof, so yeah, let's just do that. Bounce here, replay my land, and just play this play this Collector Roof, which randomly is going to matter, it looks like. Sounds good. Ancient Grindstone. Oh, this is Painter. So I could crop rot for Ursa Saga on end step. What that would do is it would help me get something going here. I probably need to hold on to the basic forest in case my opponent is playing main deck Blood Moons, which I don't think they are, because they're most likely a Saga deck. I think I'm just going to untap and see what Udo yields. Well, that changes things. So play Udo. Let's redraw. And now we can go get a Simic Growth Chamber here. Another Exploration. We're not going to put a land into play, but I am going to get a tropical island. I'm going to play the second exploration here. I guess I'm going to swing with this Collector Roof. So next turn we're going to have access to a bunch of mana. Crop Rod has been very good at enabling, so this is low-key kind of a combo we got going on here. So any card that goes to the graveyard, that one counts. That one most certainly counts. So here's an Amulet, here's a Wasteland. Blow up your Ancient Tomb. Then we're going to Crop Rot, Tropical Island away. Second Growth Chamber. And this is going to net us pretty substantial amount of mana, and it's going to give us access to Udo. Here comes Udo. We get to play another Exploration here, which is nice. I think I'm going to cast that. Float some mana, play Exploration, and I guess I hardcast this Endurance now. Is there any way that I get punished? Still have 2 land plays remaining. I think I'm just going to attack and call it a day. Because I definitely want to hold on to this Growth Chamber, right? Like it represents infinite mana on my hand, and in play it only represents 2. The only thing is like, no, because I cannot deck because I can also just Endurance myself on Pyroblast main deck, okay? Surprised they did that instead of Pyroblasting the Uro on the stack. They allowed me to draw a card for no real reason. Mox Opal doesn't do anything. And we go on to the next turn. Okay, Verdant Catacombs, we're gonna play that. Just gonna swing and pass the turn back. I think I am going to cast Endurance now, just to pressure my opponent, because that would be a 3-turn clock. Opponent has all of the artifact. Cast Endurance on end step. I'm not even going to... Yeah, I guess I'm gonna shuffle their graveyard. I don't think that's gonna matter, but those cards being in the deck are better for me because they're bad. Swing here, play a land, Cavern on Giant, and say go. Do another Ancient Tomb. Alright, so this can potentially unlock my opponent because now they can Pyroblast the Collector Roof and then go from there. So this was the risk, right? This was the risk I was running into. So now that happens, and now my Endurance that was supposed to stop me from dying. Alright, concede. We don't have Boseiju in hand and our opponent knows it, so... Alright, that's very unfortunate. So we do like Wastelands, we do like Forces. I want Ramming Up as well. Surgical Extraction seems good. Dismembers also seem okay. I don't think I want One Rings. I think I want Endurances. I don't want Udos as much. Obviously Collector Roof is great. Bojukibog, potentially not great. Same with Caracas. So cut Caracas, cut Bojukibog. Although there are, Goblin Welder is a card that I may want Bojukibog against, but we'll probably have to play around. I'm going to cut an Ursa Saga, so we're probably going to have to play around Magus of the Moon. And then we can probably shave a Prime Time. Man, our clock was just too slow that game, right? That was the issue. Our clock was simply too slow. If we had access to Boseiju at any point, we would have also won because we get to blow up the Painter in response and then we blank the Pyroblast. I want all my CNETs because my CNETs find my Collector Roof. I'm just going to cut down another Primeval Titan and then a Cavern of Souls. Yeah, let's go with this. On the play, yeah, it seems like a fine keep. So we're going to one summon at a time and then we get to Amulet on 1. Looking for a bounce land, I guess. Trop, Snow-Covered Forest, Boseiju. We already have a basic forest, so I think I'm going to go get Boseiju here. Then we're going to go Forest into Amulet. Ursa Saga. Well, that's getting wastelanded. Would love to find a link. I think I'll draw step Surgical the Saga. Let's waste now. And then draw step Surgical Extraction the Ursa Saga. Hey, we got one from the hand. Masterfully played. Okay, opponents got some good cards in there. They got a Brave, Engineer, Pyroblast. They're cooking with something. Take a picture of their deck real quick. Let them do their thing. A Braid is kind of brutal here. Of note, there's no Magus effect. So my opponent's got a bunch of Braids and Lightning Bolts, however. But so this one's gonna name Giant because I want blue mana for Uro. Opponent plays the Furnace, and they already played the Snow-Covered Mountain. So it would be great if my opponent main phase abraded the Amulet. Okay, their last card is a Lotus Petal. So they go for the Engineer. So I have perfect information right now. We untap. So I think I'm going to play Boseiju and pass the turn back. And we're holding up Endurance. So my opponent cannot get their thing back. Never mind. Lightning Greaves. Braid the Amulet. So that's good. And now they activate Engineer. They blow out. So Endurance you. Don't get your thing back. They should probably suit up their dude, yeah. And now we do get to go find Udo. Or we can find... I think I actually care more about Udo right here because Udo is a clock. We know that their last card in hand is Pyroblast, but... Ooh, we can Raminap. Raminap is pretty sexy. We can also get Collector Roof. Man, this is so close. So I can actually get Udo back, but I know that my opponent's last card in hand is a Pyroblast. So I kind of want to get Ravenous Excavator so I can blow up my opponent's Ancient Tomb. I probably need to get Collector Roof, however. No, I can't help it. Let's go get Ravenap. So next turn we're going to Wasteland their land. We found the second land. My dudes do serve though, which is nice. Drew a Taiga, which doesn't do too much. Wasteland your Ancient. Swing for 5. And I guess I'm going to use my mana to play an Amulet. Opponent on the no attack, no blocks game plan. Let's get back the Wasteland. I think I just served. I think I just seen it for Collector Roof, so I don't get randomly killed past the turn back. So this forces my opponent to have Lightning Bolt plus. It also puts another potential lethal threat on board. Opponent 2 mana, another Engineer. So if they have exactly another basic mountain, then they can get their thing back. Oh, I guess that one also counts. Okay, so now they are hiding behind the bridge. But this is not the end of it, because I can Wasteland, limiting my opponent's ability to cast their stuff. So waste the Sunken Sun, and I guess I'm going to replay the Wasteland and send the turn back. And what I can do is I can Wasteland my own Boseiju, and then I can bounce it with Simic Growth Chamber. And that allows me to kill the Ensnaring Bridge and % lethal. Painter Servant. Well, that sucks for me, because now my opponent's in-hand Hydroblast is actually live. There we go. That one helps. Yeah, so I don't need to make this cutesy play. So dismember the Painter Servant, and now we make the cutesy play. Oh, I don't need to wasteland my... What am I even talking about? Like, I don't need to wasteland anything. We just have perfect information, and we just... Now they don't have an artifact. Bounce this, and Boseiju your Ensnaring Bridge. Force you to chump block. So I think what my opponent should do is they need to chump block the Endurance with one of the Engineers. They should not chump with the second one, because now any artifact that's 2 mana or less actually represents my opponent being able to bring back the Ensnaring Bridge. So now they are at 3, but like it doesn't really change anything, right? It still now allows me the potential to like play Boseiju, and then next turn Wasteland my own Growth Chamber, replay Growth Chamber to bounce Boseiju again, and like blow up my opponent's land once again, my opponent's Ensnaring Bridge once again. So it's still a 2-turn process, however, so that I would have given my opponent a window to potentially do something, but yeah. Did not get there. Yeah, definitely that Surgical Extraction on Saga ended up being very, very good. So I guess we can bring in the last Saga since my opponent is not playing any Magus effects. And we're just going to have the Saga over the Cavernous Souls. That's it. Bojuku Bog becomes a lot more exciting now that I know, you know, they have Engineer and stuff like that. So definitely I'm going to bring the Bojuku Bog back in. We can cut the last Cavernous Souls here. I wonder if this leaves me a little bit too low on blue sources for Udo, because like now we have only a couple of Growth Chambers and the Catacombs and 2 drops. On the other hand, we're down to only a single Udo, so we're not gonna need it as much. So I think this is potentially fine. So let's submit here. What do we have here? This looks fine. I'm probably gonna save this Zenith for Force of Vigor. But we got Field of the Dead, we got Boseiju to blow up, opposing Ursa Sagas and whatnot. We definitely don't want to see an early Welder. That's the only thing that we would like to avoid. When it molds to 3, so they mold to turn 1 Engineer, which I imagine is going to put the artifact that draws cards into the graveyard. Okay, so with this extremely narrow hand from my opponent, I'm going to lead on Saga. So leading on Saga allows me to, on turn 3, get access to Bojuku Bog, because I can find Expedition Map. Although I guess at that point it's just better to find an Amulet and like use Growth Chamber to ramp into Endurance, into Zenith for Endurance, and that just develops my mana that much better. My best work's probably Exploration. Yeah, that one counts too. I don't need to use that just yet though, so I think we just chill. Let's play a green source and just pass the turn. Oh my god, that blows me out so badly. Wow, I can't believe it. Yeah, that's... That's exactly the only way that I get blown out here. Oh my god, I guess I should have played around that, huh? Well, mistakes were made. I'll tell you that much. Wow. Brutal. Dude, that's crazy. Super punished. Alright, guess I just got too cute. So I still am probably really far ahead here. So I'm just gonna dismember the Goblin Engineer now. So kill the Engineer. And I'm still gonna float a mana here, and I guess there's no use in getting Endurance now, so I'm just gonna go with Uro. Yeah, that seems better. So float a mana from Saga, get an Amulet. Float a mana from Forest, Growth Chamber. Man, oddly enough, it would be great to get a Susa here. So, Zenith for 3. Go get Udo. Get some triggers. And I guess I'm going to... So next turn we're going to get to go Raminap into Ursa Saga if we want. I can also force, but I don't really have to. Yeah, that's kind of bad for me. So I guess I'm going to have to just main phase force here. That's a prime time. Can I just... No, because then my opponent... Yeah, I think I just go Raminap into Saga actually. Because I don't need to force. There's nothing my opponent can do with this Welder just yet. I'm going to be taking 4 damage. And worst case scenario, I can just force pitching the prime time. I don't love to do that, but like if I have to, I can. I think this is fine. I think I can give my opponent this mana. Painter. Yes. I really need to find an answer to this Goblin Welder. I can block with Raminap. Yeah, I think I block. We just trade. And then if my opponent attempts to weld, we force. Super close game we have here. Play a land and ship the turn back. I can also, whatever my opponent attempts to weld, I can just Boseiju. I think I'm going to do that. So Boseiju there. This allows me to actually force on my opponent's turn. And it allows me to make a construct too, which is cool. Opponent attempts to do that. So I will make a construct. And I will force blowing Painter Servant and Ursa Saga. They can have Pyroblast as the last card in hand, which would be bad for me, but it is what it is. And now this Saga can go find Bojuka Bog and I can exile my opponent's graveyard, so we should be in the clear. Good thing I brought back the Bojuka Bog. I'll get Expedition Map, Crack Map. I guess I didn't need to do this right now, but got too excited. I missed out on a point of damage. Looks like my opponent had only the 1 Dragon Engine, so that should be gone now. Swing for 3. Next turn we're gonna get back Udo and use Handwear Battlements to attack. Opponent draws another Servant. Mildly concerning. But my opponent's a little bit short on mana, so maybe we can take advantage of that. Wasteland, not quite. So play Trop, green, blue, Udo. We're gonna exile Seiju, Saga, Dismember, leaving Raminap in the graveyard because I could draw Endurance, I guess. So now with this trigger, we're going to play the Battlements, which is gonna haste Udo. Now we can swing for 12. Hopefully we find Boseiju or something like that. So Wasteland doesn't really change anything unless my opponent draws exactly Ursa Saga. So this is swing for 12, opponent would go down to 5. So I guess the 2 extra points from a zombie do matter quite a bit. I do get punished if my opponent specifically draws Ursa Saga, because Ursa Saga is the only land that would allow me to interact with Wasteland before they get to activate. Chumps with Welder, interesting. So if my opponent's last card is a Grindstone, then if they find Ancient Tomb, we lose. And Snare and Bridge would also be problematic, but they just do nothing and ship the turn back. Okay, cool. So before we do anything, I'm just going to serve. Oh, actually I could have hasted a zombie. That was a bit of a mistake there. But they do allow me to swing with Udo, which is nice. Bolt in a construct, okay? Whatever. Happy about that. Alright, so that should be enough, I assume. So this is an attack for 10. Opponent takes the free block. I guess we can still die. Play Wasteland and play. So we could still die here to my opponent having exactly Ancient Tomb plus the Grindstone. And Snare and Bridge would also be very annoying. That one is not good enough, I don't think. My opponent can activate it, but because they can just suit it up with Lightning Greaves. But there's nothing they can draw that can win them the game from here. So I think we got this. Woo! 1-0, baby. Amulet, very well alive, as you can see. Round number 2, this is a very awkward hand. We have Exploration, which is our best card in basically every matchup. We also have Crop Rotation, we just don't have an untapped green source. That's the only problem. I think I still keep this. We have Wasteland to like delay the game a little bit, which is good. And we do have Cavern of Souls for counter magic. We're playing against like the All-in Goblins deck. This matchup's probably heinous for us, I would assume. Okay, so that goes and gets the mana goblin. I think I'm gonna Wasteland. How can I know how much mana makes this? Oh, they have to roll a die. Okay, so let's Once Upon a Time, because we may find an untapped green source here. We don't. That sucks. So I think I'm taking Udo. Although I'm kind of doing fine in terms of ramp, but I kind of want to dig a little bit more. So maybe it's just fine. I could get Battlements just because it's a land, but I think I'm gonna get Uro. And I'm gonna Wasteland, so my opponent cannot cast their crazy mana goblin. 2 mana for battle cry, dude. Take 1. We can still work with this. Green source. Should have been more specific. Cavern Giant. Go. If I draw an untapped green source, I'm going to be in really good shape. Of course, unless I just die, which could happen. So this is a 3 mana 2/2. That's kind of absurd, actually. Wait, what? They're attacking for 5 instead of playing the goblin and just much more than 5? Does not seem like the best possible line of action. Okay, they figure out that this dude makes a bunch of mana. So now they get 2 activations of this thing, which is much better. And I'm super dead now, because it gives everything haste for whatever ungodly reason. It also makes it dude. Yeah, I'm literally just dead. Okay, yeah, that was bad. So I like Maze, I like Tabernacle. Force of Vigor, potentially decent. Dismember, potentially decent. I don't think I care about that many Primeval Titans. Bog doesn't do anything whatsoever. Caracas probably doesn't do anything either. It bounces the Goblin Lord, but probably don't want to be, you know, having land drops that only do that. Can also potentially cut a Cavern. I do like Collector Roof. I do wonder how much do I need to worry about Magus. Cutting down on Endurance, Forces, Dismembers, Exploration's great. One Ring seems fine. Got Maze and Tabernacle. Slow down the bloodshed. I do love Crop Rot when I'm bringing in either Mace or Knuckle, so that one's going to stay in there. I think I'm just going to be in the Endurance here. Although it's just like a good-sized blocker. Maybe I just shave a Primeval Titan, actually. I could also just shave a Green Sun Zenith. Yeah, let's do that. I do think that I want all my Uros. And maybe Wasteland is better than Cavern of Souls. Although I do need the blue sources, so yeah, I'm gonna keep the Cavern. Oh, I guess I could trim Boseiju for Wasteland. That seems better. Oh, that's a hilarious hand. I think I just keep this. Like, Tabernacle is pretty sick. Yeah, let's keep this. Can go turn 1 Saga, turn 2 Knuckle. There's a Chrome Mox, Peachy Mogwar Marshal, second Chrome Mox, into Matron. Once upon a time. Okay, so can I find the green source? All right, so I'll take that. So yeah, I'm gonna play Tabernacle this turn. Next turn, I'm gonna be able to cast Udo into Exploration. Want to not pay an upkeep, and now are they just gonna YOLO the Goblin? Playing it safe, or safer at least. Here's an Amulet. Play Growth Chamber. And because I have Exploration, I'm going to bounce the Growth Chamber itself. Play Udo, see what we draw. Play Growth Chamber. Now we get to go play Exploration, play Growth Chamber, and get Collector Roof, which is pretty nice. And that's double Stoneblade. Oh, but I lose it on my upkeep. I'm an idiot. Whoops. I guess I should have bounced the Knuckle with the second one. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I totally forgot that this is actually... Uh-oh. Well, mistakes were made. Don't judge me. Not gonna pay 1. I was stupid. So that happened. So I guess we can Endurance into Udo. Oh, we can Udo with a green floating. Then we have 3 mana. So that doesn't really do anything for us. So I guess I'm just going to develop mana. Cavern Giant and play Growth Chamber. And bounce the Growth Chamber again. Play Uro. And I guess we're going to cross our fingers here, huh? Hey, look at that. Alright, so pass the turn. We're gonna have 6 mana next turn. 6 mana allows me to Endurance myself and then get back the Collector Roof. Don't think that's going to matter. We're just about to get Muxus here. Yeah, that seems pretty good. So they drew Prospector, Mind Goblin, double Prospector. So at least their stuff is summoning sick, besides those 2 dudes. So I can Knuckle plus Endurance plus Collector Roof. Endurance Oof really limits my opponent's capabilities. Seems really bad in the face of having Udo, but it really limits what my opponent can do next turn. So I think I just have to ship both of those Uros to the bottom of my deck just because I'm an idiot. It's very sad. It is the life that we chose. So do that, cast Endurance, sadly target myself, and then Zenith for Collector Roof. So that means if my opponent wants to keep their stuff, they're gonna need to pay for it. And we also have good blocks. If we draw Primeval Titan, we may actually be in good shape here. So opponent pays for those 2, which makes sense. Now they can cast Prospector. This Tabernacle is doing some pretty good work for me. Opponent serves. They stuck their stuff wrong. Block there, take 6. That Uro would be looking pretty good right about now, huh? Okay, opponent sucks some dudes to Battle Cry. Okay, so this is gonna lock my opponent's mana. So they play the second Prospector. I wonder if they're trying to like just combo kill me here. That's not great. Play Battlements and play Cavern of Souls on... I think I'm gonna put in an Elemental. I'm probably gonna Crop Rot for something though. Do I serve is the question. Yeah, I think so. I think I actually need to clock here. I'm probably going to crop draw these Cavern of Souls for an Ursa Saga. Opponent gets to pay for Prospector. Now they have access to a bunch of mana, so they can lead on Pashalik Mons. Okay, they start with the Goblin dude. 5 mana. That's so absurd, dude. Like, that just makes so much mana. Woof! What a stupid deck. Point up to 8. Another Muxus. They put nothing off of Muxus? They whiffed entirely in the top 6 cards. Pashalik Mons. So now they're gonna be able to start to do some stuff. Crobrot, the Cavern of Souls. I think it's gonna be for an Ursa Saga, because it's the only thing that actually pulls me ahead. I'm not close to having enough lands for Field of the Dead. So Saga will actually get me closer to actually doing stuff. Pay for Endurance. Udo. Not a bad draw at all. Not a bad draw. So let's play Growth Chamber, and we're gonna, I guess, use the mana from Growth Chamber and Battlements here. Although I guess it's better for me to just use both of my land drops. This allows me to have untapped mana for activating Saga, because I'm not close enough to getting Udo back. So I think I'm gonna do this. Play Udo, Exploration. It's not great or anything, but it gives me more mana. And I guess next turn I am going to have access to... So we do have 1 Charm Blocker for the Muxus if we need it. The problem is this Pashalik Mons is gonna start to mow down my stuff, because they can sack whatever to Prospector. Okay, opponent is going after my creatures, which is actually kind of fine. It's huge. Like, this Tabernacle has been the only thing that's been keeping me in the game, and it's pretty great that this works on upkeep as opposed to on main phase, like, you know, Sagas do or whatever, because it doesn't allow my opponent to know what card they're drawing. So I think my opponent is going to make some mana here and just sack another one, probably sack the Muxus to make a couple of 1/1s. Now they're going to have to pay for Prospector, so I'm just going to yield to everything. Yeah, so they do sack to make a dude, and now they're going to have to pay 2 for both Prospector and the Mons. They have to sack 1 more thing to kill the Endurance. Opponent cannot really attack because we still have a Saga token coming up. So that kills the Endurance, and they have 2 mana for the Battlecry Goblin. Yeah, so I love this Tabernacle card though. Make it 2/2. So they're gonna have to sack both Goblins. I don't think my opponent should attack there. There's no reason to. They have to throw away 2 Goblins just so they don't get Pashalik Mons blocked, because they literally need these to win the game straight up. Yeah, this seems like an incredibly good exchange for me. They can't even activate the Battle Cry ability. Like, they just wasted 2 mana for no reason. 2 mana and a creature. Sure. So let's make a construct, and now we can get another Amulet, or we can get Expedition Map. Regardless, we're gonna get Uro this turn. Red Source, get Expedition Map allows me to go fetch a Red Source and be able to attack with Uro, which is nice. Whereas getting second Amulet gives me effectively infinite mana. I'm probably not going to use it just yet, but just having access to it gives me a ton of value down the line. Play 2 lands, get Udo. If I'm not mistaken, we still have 1 land drop. The One Ring seems okay. Yeah, we can cast down 1, I guess. Well, while still wasting my opponent's mana for an entire turn cycle. Man, what a game this is, huh? What a game this has been. And this is after I threw away 2 Udos because I forgot that my Tabernacle was going to kill my own my own Collector Roof. But it worked out because, yeah, like, we got to where we're at now, and it forced my opponent to use their mana in a very awkward way because they were so constrained on it. Also, this construct is like a casual 4/4 now. We do get to draw a card on end step, and then another 2 on the following turn. So that's a good one. That's going to allow my opponent to get to draw some cards. Okay, activate One Ring on end step, draw Saga. Got some upkeep costs to pay. Pay for Uro, and I think I'm going to pay for the construct too. Let's draw 2, shall we? May find another Amulet. Boseiju doesn't really do much. So we do get 3 land drops here, so let's get them. Oh, I actually messed this up. Should have started on Saga and then Growth Chamber. Well, now I'm regretting the fact that I did some, you know, silly sequencing earlier. Prime time. We can draw Wasteland. I like that. And Maze of Ith is also interesting. We can also just get Yavimaya. Yavimaya is pretty cool. So let's get Yavimaya. It actually really turns on my mana. And let's get, I think, a Wasteland. Opponent just backs it in. Okay, cool. Well, that worked out. Much better than I anticipated. Sweet. So even though I'm an idiot, I was not punished for being an idiot. Turns out Collector Roof is kind of better than I gave it credit for. So my opponent is really reliant on that mana from their artifacts. So Also, shout out to Tabernacle. This card was the only reason why I had any shot at all during that entire game. So shout out to the Knuckle. I think I'm gonna cut down on forces. Just have the one force. Oof just seems better than force because it just turns on my green sun units. This is a hand. Can I keep this? The thing is, I'm not even sure that this member is that good at this matchup. We have Zenith to go find. I kind of rather have access to Tabernacle than the Maze of Ith. Let's actually keep it. Let's see where this gets us. Turn 1 Sokenzan into Chrome Mox. Pitching a land. Okay. Into Matron. This is probably gonna get the Goblin. Oh, they go for Ringleader. Okay, let's drop and go. Funnily enough, this would be a situation where Dryad Arbor would be pretty decent. City of Traders. Ringleader into just a War Chief. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make a choice here. I think I want to save this member for the War Chief. Exploration would be great. Probably my best draw. Co-op rotation. Well, that's a Tabernacle. So here's Knuckle, your go. So this is going to really limit the amount of mana that my opponent has access to, or the amount of creatures that they have access to. Though if they're throwing away their City of Traders anyway, this is probably unnecessary. On the other hand, if my opponent did have a Muxus in hand, they cannot cast it this turn. So I think I have to kill this one. So, because it's gonna be 2 damage, which is problematic. I mean, I could go for Maze of Ith here, funnily enough. It gets me really far behind in terms of making mana, unless I find another Crop Rod for Yavimaya. But I think I need to stay alive, and this gives me the best chance of staying alive. So I think my opponent is just gonna let both of these Goblins just die. Oh, they're paying for really? Okay. Pretty surprised by that. Still looking for exploration. A naturally drawn Collector Roof would be great. Amulet would also be pretty good. We have 2 unknowns in hand. Another Zenith doesn't help me, so play a land, say go. The nice thing here is that if they paid for their things, then they need to... So I think they should probably pay for Battlecry and Ringleader, then they can activate, and that actually hits me for 4. So I guess it's gonna be a swing for 5, actually. 6? Yep, 6. Maybe that this member was a little bit hasty. I mean, I would have been a 2-less if I hadn't done it, right? So I can go find Collector Roof, but it doesn't really do anything for me, right? Because my opponent just pays for everything, and then I have... block. Yeah, I guess I technically am not dead. So Zenith for oof. That means my opponent has 1 less mana. I imagine they're not gonna pay for the Goblin token. But now if they attack with everything, I just trade with Battlecry Goblin. Because now they don't get to pump. Can I just draw Yavimaya? That would be sick. Oh, this is exactly lethal. Oh, brutal. That was such a close game. I feel like if at any point I had drawn like an Exploration or even like an Amulet, I would have been able to Zenith for Udo and actually start pulling ahead, maybe get a One Ring into play. Anyway, this deck seems kind of stupid though. Like the amount of mana that the stupid new Goblin makes is kind of ridiculous. And I still have no idea how to know how much mana that thing is going to be making, which is pretty funny. Anyway, see you next round. Alright, we're on the play with a banger of a hand, so let's keep this. We get to go turn 1 Amulet. I guess turn 1 Exploration into Amulet. And then next turn, we can Crop Rot. My opponent may just... Oh, they force this. Okay, that's cool. Force pitching Daze too. Pretty real respect for the Exploration, which makes sense. Tundra in a Daze deck? What's a Daze Tundra deck? Opponent shuffled for Ponder, but I have no idea what they may be up to over there. Damn, this is... getting weird. So I guess some sort of Stoneforge deck. I think I play a land and just say go. I guess I could have upkeep Crop Rotted for Ursa Saga there if I wanted to. Okay, so let's play Exploration. And now we get to Crop Rot for a bounce land. And I did see Daze, so that's why I'm kind of time walking myself a little bit here. But my opponent, I guess they... Yeah, I'm just going to set up having Titan next turn. So I'm just going to play a little bit of a naked One Ring here. Oh, did I have the extra land drop? I totally forgot that I had an extra land drop there. So, yeah, definitely my mistake there. Could have probably played around this. Opponent gets Savannah. 3 mana to just hardcast a Brazen Borrower. When we draw an Ursa Saga, yeah, this is working out just fine anyway. I mean, I would be in better shape if I had cast a Primeval Titan on that turn where it was basically free to do, but I think I'll figure it out from here. Okay, yeah. If that's the best thing my opponent can do this turn, I'm in. Also, they just skip their attack step. Not great for OP. Okay, so let's draw with One Ring first, because we may draw either... We didn't draw either, but like we could have drawn either the land that gave me haste, or we could have drawn a Field of the Dead. So now we can go Yavimaya into Growth Chamber, and we're gonna play an uncounterable Primeval Titan, bouncing, I guess, the Yavimaya. Opponent, Path to Exile. Wow, that's a card I have not seen in a minute. Well, so I guess we're gonna go Field of the Dead plus Hunger Battlements. And I think we still have one land drop here, so we actually get to swing if we want to. Maybe I use both. Not too concerned about that. So I take 3 from the Borrower plus 2 from the Ring. Sword of Fire and Ice. Can you equip it? No, you can't. They tapped the worst possible way, I guess. So that's good for me. Make a dude on end step. That's a 3/3. Can I just lethal my opponent? Drew a Growth Chamber, which doesn't really do anything. So let's draw from the Ring. Stifle. You got it. Oh, they stifled the Ursa Saga. Guess I shouldn't have done that, but it's fine. Whatever. Just draw Primeval Titan, so everything's okay. 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey yo. Putting down to 1 card, by the way. So let's get Taiga plus Boseiju. This is gonna haste Primetime. And then we get to bounce Boseiju to get rid of the Sword of Fire and Ice. Play Exploration, a bounce land, our Battlements, the Primeval Titan. Opponent can swing for 7 next turn, but like it just doesn't matter. Okay, some sort of Bant deck of sorts. Maze of It seems incredible. Gonna risk getting blown out by Udo, but I still have Endurance, and Endurance is probably just fine. I do like Dismembers. I don't think I care enough about Force of Vigor. Collector Roof is probably necessary, but not great. Let's cut down a Crop Rod. I usually do this in matchups that have counter magic. So down to 1 crop rotation, and when I bring in Carpet, I usually allow myself to cut down on some lands. Wasteland seems actually medium against what my opponent is doing over there. I do kind of like Vesuva, because Field of the Dead seems important. Same thing with Cavern of Souls. Endurance seems good at blocking flyers. I think I like it better than Collector Roof. Dismember is cool. Force is medium. Exploration is great. Let's bring in 1 Force. 2 Dismember, 1 Force, 3 Endurance. Let's get rid of the last crop rotation. Maybe 1 more land. Caracas. I doubt my opponent's playing Mendelian Click. Maybe they are, but let's cut down 1 Primeval Titan and maybe 1 Green Sun Zenith. Still have 29 lands. Now let's cut down a Green Sun Zenith. What do we got? This hand seems fine. Misty Rainforest. We have to watch out for Stifle. Birds of Paradise. Opponents out there are really living the life, aren't they? So there's nothing that I can find off of Once Upon a Time that I would like to play. So I think I'm going to just play a Forest and say go. I don't need to Once Upon just yet. Ponder previous to fetching is some sketchy sequencing there. And we untap, and I guess we may play something different this time around, so I'm just gonna do this. Boseiju is nice. I'm gonna keep Boseiju. Let's play Saga. It's gonna give my opponent something to be occupied with. They may force me or they may Boseiju me. Both of those are fine. I'm probably going to be casting an Encounterable Uro next turn anyway, because I really want to get ahead on mana. I may get Wastelanded though, and if I do, that would suck. Stoneforge, yeah, not super concerned about that. They do get Kaldra, which is definitely the scariest thing that they could have gotten, especially knowing about Boseiju. Yeah, so I'm really interested in actually hitting my land drops here. So I'm just going to play Cavern on Giant, and I'm going to play Udo, and then I think I'm going to like run this Carpet of Flowers into a Daze. So I think that part is fine, because like this Daze is probably going to get... Oh, they Force of Negation? Pitching Force of Will, hell yeah. That's pretty good. If they don't have Wasteland, I guess they can just stifle my Saga trigger, so I cannot get that Amulet, but if they don't, I'm gonna be kind of cooking here. Stoneforge Cauldron into play, that's fine. I can raise this. We drew Udo, which is actually not the worst. We get an Amulet, play a Gruul Turf, and now we get to stifle the untap trigger. Surgical Extraction my Saga. Resolves. Surgical Extraction on Ursa Saga resolves. Let's make some uncounterable mana. Let's play a Primeval Titan. So my opponent could have Swords to Plowshares here, but I still think that I want to... Why are they showing me the Swords to Plowshares now? Whatever, guess I'll take it. So we're gonna say yes there. Let's get Field of the Dead and Maze of Ith. Ship the turn back. And good thing my opponent's Surgical Extraction my Ursa Saga instead of Surgical Extraction in my Udo, which is significantly better. Maze your Kaldra, bro. F6. Yep, looks like we're in fine shape here. 1, 2, 3... Actually, do I just want to... I guess I'm short 1 mana, so let's just Udo instead. Hull Breacher. That's definitely a card. Opponent's got a treasure token. Guess I got. Alright, ship the turn back. So I guess they can't actually force me here. They could Force of Negation this Green Sun Zenith next turn. I'm definitely gonna play it around Daze. Noble Hierarch. Not great into my Maze of It. Exploration's not bad. So let's lead on Boseiju. And this is like the best window that I have to resolve the Green Sun Zenith, so we're just gonna take it. If my opponent has exactly Force of Negation, they get me. But okay, so now they have 0 cards in hand, and we have Amulet plus Exploration. It's actually just fine. They suit up the Stoneforge, but so I just take 5 and mace the Stoneforge. GT counter seems more valuable than the 5 points that the Caldra deals. It's not a bad draw. That's 2 free zombies every turn. So I just don't care about the Stoneforge anymore. Just don't care about the GT. So now I have like an infinite amount of... Okay, that's good for them. Oh, really? Okay, so, oh yeah, now they can move the GT over to the Caldra, which is better. So now we're actually going to have to destroy these Dumisawa's GT, which I didn't want to do, but now we just have to. That was a good draw for my opponent for sure. Also just realized we did not bring in... What's his name? So do I play around Stifle on my Boseiju? By what's his name, I meant Ramen of Excavator, just for the sake of completeness of my previous sentence. So I just blow up the Umisawa's GT. I guess I can start swinging now. Boseiju the GT now to play around counter magic. Opponent gains some life, which makes sense. We are 1 away from getting back Udo, but unfortunately we can't really help it because Endurance is gonna... Oh no, actually, yeah, I could just chump block with the Endurance just so I can have the last card for Udo. But I think it's just better to like just swing back and raise my opponent. Like they're kind of dead here, aren't they? So if I swing, my opponent blocks the Endurance, they kill it. They take, I mean, they have to start chump blocking. Yeah, just gonna Endurance them. Opponent packs it in. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this kind of just, you know, grindy mid-rangey matchup seems to favor us pretty heavily. 2-1 and 1 dream. Am I shipping this hand? I don't think so. We're on the play. I think I just lead on turn 1 Saga. I don't think I value the constructs particularly highly. Do I value the mana, however? Yeah, let's actually play Cavern Giant. I regret what I said. Cavern Giant it is. We're gonna play Saga turn 2, and then Udo on 3, and deploy the second Saga. That's not something you see every day from my opponent's side, right? Like, just turn 1 Cavern of Souls. Uh-oh. It seems like Turbo Depths, which I can't believe it's a good matchup for us. We do? I mean, we can just draw a Crop Rot, and then we're gonna be in really good shape. It's just a Caracas, bounce back the Dark Depths. Also, funnily enough, Udo can actually give me 1 full turn against the Merit Lage, which is hilarious. Sure, gonna upkeep it. So once upon a time, find Caracas. No. So none of this do anything for me. So I guess I'm gonna get, I just get Gruul Turf, and that gives me Titan mana for the following turn. So another Cavern Giant, blue, green, and 1. Udo keeps me at 3 life. Wonder what my opponent's playing around over there. Play a land, and now ship the turn back. I'm gonna take 20 down to 3, and unless my opponent has a Wasteland this turn, we're gonna be in good shape, because we can just Caracas, second Dark Depths. That's not good enough. Okay, so stack my triggers, float a mana, get Amulet of Vigor, get Gruul Turf, make some uncounterable giant mana. We're going to get Taiga plus Battlement. Swing. Let's get Caracas and Wasteland. Wasteland the Depths, Caracas, Merit Lage, opponent concedes. Alright, so that worked. Wasteland seems decent. Maze of Ith seems decent. Vesuva also decent. So my opponent seems to be actually on the aggro version of the Merit Lage deck. So I'm going to assume that my opponent's not playing Reclaimers and stuff. Force of Vigor is interesting, however. Endurance is just a chump blocker, but it could be okay. I don't think this is going to be a one ring matchup. Crop Rod is fantastic. I think I'm going to cut Bog. I'm going to cut Cavern of Souls. Even though shout out to Cavern of Souls that game for giving me the mana that I needed to cast Udo. Going to go down to 1 Endurance, and I think I want the Collector Roofs. I am very much uncertain about that though. Also, this is probably not a Feel of the Dead deck, but I think it's still fine to keep. I think I'm going to cut down another Cavern. Keep this one. Keep this hand. Seems fine. Thoughtseize. You got it, champ. What do you want? I low-key want to Wasteland this value, but I don't think I should. I'm just gonna play Wasteland and pass the turn back. Opponent knows about this Caracas, but they don't know about the Boseiju, so I'm gonna try to hold on to that. Get a basic Swamp. Sylvan Scrying. Okay. Imagine they're gonna get their own Wasteland. Just get Depths. Map. Sure. So let's actually go ahead and get a basic Forest. Play Map. And pass the turn back. Stage is actually kind of nice here because so they can blow up my Wasteland if they want to. Like they can copy my Wasteland, but it's kind of awkward for them if they do. And I really want to have Forest up as I crop rotation, so I'm just gonna Wasteland here. So we ship the turn back and we kind of wait to see what my opponent does here. So they attempt to copy Wasteland, which is fine, I think. I think that's a trap. Like, if they want to Wasteland my Wasteland, then that's fine. Second stage. So we're just gonna play a hella slow game. Exploration's pretty good. So this allows me to actually play the Growth Chamber here, and then play the Forest again, pass the turn back, fire off the Wasteland. We're going to attempt to Wasteland the value. There's no point in, like, Wastelanding the Thespian stage there, right? Because they just copy a basic. Okay, this time around, I am gonna Wasteland the Thespian stage, because we already have the Caracas, and we also have a Crop Rotation in hand. So that is insurance enough for me to be pretty happy about the current situation. Like, my opponent is quite far behind at this point. Lotus Petal is fine. Second Lotus Petal, also fine. They can even play Depths and, like, go for Vampire Hexmage, but it just doesn't really matter. We just have Caracas anyway. And on top of that, I can still Crop Rot for Wasteland if I wanted to. Okay. So this is actually a little bit awkward. I think I map for a Saga. Play Saga. This gives me a ton of options from here. And play, I'm gonna play out the Boseiju. Again, I feel pretty confident about the fact that I have Crop Rot. Also, if my opponent attempts to do something, I can sack the Boseiju to Crop Rot, or I can go Crop Rot for a bounce land and bounce Boseiju and then Boseiju my opponent's Dark Depths or whatever. That is if they do something. If they don't do anything, we just get to cycle this once upon a time. Ghost Quarter. That's cool. So instead, once upon a time for kind of want another land. I'm gonna get Windswept Heath because that feeds Udo. Another Boseiju is fantastic. So let's make Udo. Opponent can potentially go get a Bog, which is also kind of just fine. Not a bad draw, that one. That is a fine draw. So get fetch land for drop. Gonna play. We have 2 land drops. Oh baby, just get 2 wastelands. My opponent needs to go get Bojuka Bog right now. So they need to crop it away for Bojuka Bog. They just pack it in. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, yeah, that looked very good. Very cool match. Super slow. Turn 6, and that's when things started to get out of control. All right, this has been a lot of fun. 3-1. Last match, and this hand looks pretty good. I'll keep it. We're looking for... We're on the play, but we have no information. We're looking for a threat, because we already have a bounce land, so we're covered on that axis, but I can go turn 1 Exploration plus Amulet, and then kind of just go from there. Actually, now that I think about it, the better play is going to be Once Upon a Time first, and then I guess we take the Saga. We could also just take the drop. I'm going to take the Saga. So I think that the better play is to Exploration into Land Pass, because this means if I'm playing against a combo deck, I can hold up Crop Rotation. So I think this is the better line. Plains. Okay. Untap. Good draw. Play Ursa Saga. Play Amulet of Vigor. We still have 1 land play remaining. So I just pass the turn. And then next turn we get to Crop Rotation the Ursa Saga away. Because I can Crop Rot, sack the Forest, and like make 2 mana with a bounce land. But then I will need 1 more mana. I'm gonna make up to 5, which is obviously not enough. So by holding on to the Crop Rotation, my opponent played a basic Plains, so they may be on something like Death and Taxes. And if they're on Death and Taxes, then I would definitely want to play around Wasteland. My opponent's gonna be very confused. Reshatten Port. So that does... So if they upkeep Port me, yeah, this is fine. Hangover of Battlements is kind of whatever. So I can just pass the turn and do nothing? I don't quite like that though. Actually, never mind, like they tap my land, so I actually cannot do anything. So we just gotta pass the turn back here. I guess I should have played Collector Roof. Yeah, that was a fine window to play Collector Roof. Messed that up for sure. Stoneforge Mystic. So I think I'm gonna play around Solitude. They do get Kaldra. And now go to main phase and not make a construct. Just float a mana, get a second Amulet of Vigor. Oh, I should have actually sacked... I actually messed that up. I should have obviously sacked the Ursa Saga. That's what I meant to do. It doesn't really matter, but would have obviously been much better. So, getting some bounce land action here. So yeah, I sacked the land for no reason, which feels pretty stupid now. So we're gonna bounce the Growth Chamber. Fed for drop. Cast Prime Time. So we do have Battlements now, so we can just very easily play around. We can just get Taiga plus what? Saga? It's Taiga plus Saga or Taiga plus Field of the Dead. I guess I'm closer to second Saga than to Field of the Dead, so let's do that. So stack my triggers properly, and we're gonna haste Primeval Titan. I assume my opponent's gonna Solitude here. Float a mana. I guess we get to play... We still haven't 2 more land drops, so I just get to play Collector Roof for free. I do think my opponent's pretty likely to have Solitude, so there it is. We do get a nice clean 2-for-1 here. So that's not the worst. Gain 6, untap, second main phase, and we're gonna get to cast Udo here. It's pretty nice. Bounce, cast Udo. So we still actually have an extra bounce land here, which is cool. Still have an extra land drop. So I guess it's correct for us to lead on Once Upon a Time. Found another Udo, or we can get Boseiju. Let's actually get Boseiju. So get Udo back. Field of the Dead. Seems good. Decent find. And I'll just play out Boseiju as my land for a turn and ship it back. So now my opponent needs to have specifically Wasteland right now, and that only answers the Field of the Dead problem, but they still need to answer many more problems. Yeah, that's a fetch land, so that's 2 zombies. 1 zombie. I guess we do get to make a construct and haste it as well, which is nice. Fetch to make another zombie and clear things up a little bit. And we're gonna haste the construct because it's the one that swings for most. Move to combat, swing. My opponent's gonna get to exile Udo, which I think it's kind of just fine because I'm going pretty wide. So opponent's gonna take 5 this turn. This also is kind of nice because it plays around. I guess I should have tried to get Caracas. If I had gotten Caracas, I would have been able to save my Udo there. So this is my last land drop. So I'm still bouncing the bounce land here. I could have reset Ursa Saga, but I don't think I'm interested in doing that. So we untap Once Upon a Time. So let's start by making a dude. Now we fetch for Expedition Map. Then we cast Once Upon a Time. Although we did find Caracas. Does that do anything at this point? I don't think so. So I guess I'd rather have Verdant Catacombs, which is 1 extra token. Now I'm gonna get Caracas just in case my opponent has a Thalia and that's just really awkward to deal with. So play Caracas, we're gonna haste the second construct, and we just swing with everything because if my opponent actually has a way to kill my Collector Roof, that enables me to crack my Expedition Map. Have Batterskull too? Damn, must be nice, I guess. Opponent down to 7, play another Growth Chamber, and I guess we should have gotten Boseiju, huh? Did not consider my opponent just naturally having the Batterskull. Opponent packs it in. Alright, Death and Taxes. So we definitely want Dismember, we definitely want Ramunap. We probably want Maze of Ith, and I like Vesuva and Wastelands. Not sure about Tabernacle, this is a big question mark. As far as creatures go, Endurance is kind of decent actually. So let's cut Bojuka Bog. And I think I'm going to cut Cavern of Souls. This puts me at 30 lands, 2 of which don't tap for mana. So that's Maze of Ith and Tabernacle, and I have 28 mana sources, which seems fine. Then Collector Roof is nice, Crop Protection is fantastic. Once Upon a Time can be a little bit awkward in this matchup. I'm not sure how I feel about the One Ring. Like, this card is kind of weird. I'm going to go down 1 Udo against the Mono Caracas deck. I think I'm going to cut the One Rings actually when my opponent's on the play because of Thalia. And we get 1 more cut. I actually do think Endurance is pretty decent, to be fair. I think I'm gonna cut with Green Sun Zenith. Let's go with this. Maybe I should have... Yeah, maybe actually I should have Force of Vigor. I don't know if they're on the Ursa Saga version, but if they are, I definitely want Force of Vigor. This hand's pretty good. I like this hand a lot. So we really need Once Upon a Time to find us an untapped green source, but if we do, then we're just gonna kind of go off. Opponent on basic planes, go. Good thing that they don't have Vial. Once Upon a Time number 3, not so hot, I'll say. It's a Gruul Turf. I think I'm gonna go with Ursa Saga here. So let's play a Saga. So I just suspect that the Saga is gonna get Wastelanded, so having a backup one seems decent to me. And if they don't have the Wasteland, then we're kind of gonna be able to go off. Second white source for Thalia, that's fine. Kind of annoying, but second Ursa Saga, your go. What we do not want to see is a Wasteland. Opponent swings for 2. No Wasteland, please. Yep. Of course. Funnily enough, I think my opponent should probably not Wasteland me here. They should Wasteland me when I try to go for Growth Chamber. I mean, I'll take this. Like, this is probably better than my opponent Wastelanding my Growth Chamber. This is a disaster, however. My opponent also being able to develop a threat on the same turn. That's a really big deal. That color is gonna clock me real quick. Man, I still cannot find an untapped green source. We are on Mono Sagas all day, every day. I may be able to raise this. Also, no second Wasteland, so that's big. Take 7. Now I am going to be able to do some stuff and some things. Get an Amulet, play Growth Chamber, make some mana, play Exploration, and I think I'll just play another Saga. and I'll make a construct main phase, and then ship the turn back. So this gives me a blocker, and next turn I'm gonna have a healthy amount of mana. So if I block here, this means I go down to 6. The Stoneforge not attacking is kind of a big deal there. I think I'm actually gonna hold on to the construct. This punishes me if my opponent has Flicker Wisp, however. Reshadow and Port. Actually doesn't do anything. So that's kind of sexy. That nets me mana. So float there. Let's get Amulet number 2. Play Growth Chamber. I do have to be mindful of the fact that this Once Upon a Time is going to cost me 3. Cast Exploration, 3 mana. This brings me up to 4, and then I have 8. So let's Once Upon a Time first, so I may find Prime Time. Boseiju unfortunately doesn't cut it, but it's better than Verdant Catacombs. So play Growth Chamber. I can still like sack one of my lands to crop rotation. I'm gonna be looking 10 cards deep for either an Uro or Primeval Titan. So I think I still Once Upon a Time first. Okay, that's an Uro. No more land drops, but I can still crop rotation for a bounce land to net mana if I need to. This Uro also nets me 1. There's Uro, Vesuva. Vesuva doesn't quite do it. I do get to get back Uro, which is not bad. And we still have GG floating. I wonder if my opponent's gonna kill my Uro now. They probably should, actually. Okay, looks like they don't. So get back Uro. Now we go up to 10. That's a full turn of clock we have gained. Caracas stops Thalia, which is pretty sexy. It also protects my Uro from a Solitude. I can also crop rotation for, what's his name? Maze of Ith. So that would stop the Germ. Actually, it wouldn't because my opponent still has a Stoneforge Mystic, so never mind. This is close. I think I Caracas Endurance. I can also Vesuva. Kind of punished by this Caracas entering untapped instead of tapped, which is funny. Man, I really would like to hold up crop rotation, but I don't think I can. So I'm gonna have to crop rot main phase. No, I think I'm just gonna play out Caracas and I'm just going to cast Endurance. I feel like a second blocker is pretty good here. A third blocker, I guess. I'm assuming that this Uro is gonna die, but it is technically a third blocker. Don't think I want to start attacking just yet. My opponent needs to answer this Uro though. Otherwise, it's just gonna take over very quickly. Opponent attacks. I'll take 5. I think taking 5 there is acceptable. Source to Plowshares my Uro. Yeah, this is why I kind of wanted to hold up Caracas, but that is fine. Port, tap my Ursa Saga. Field of the Dead's not great. So this time around, I'm going to go with Expedition Map. And we do get a bunch of bounces here. So what do we want to do? We do get a bunch of land drops. So I feel like I want to play Field. And I want to crack Expedition Map for something. I'm out of sagas, so I guess I'm gonna Vesuva my Ursa Saga. Oh, I never mind, I can't. I'm an idiot, of course. Ursa Saga's in the graveyard. Can't do that. I definitely want to play Field of the Dead, so I guess let's start there. ETB tapped, float a mana. Then we can Vesuva Port. Yeah, let's Vesuva Port. Now we get to float another mana, and we get to Expedition Map for something. We can go get Knuckle, but that Knuckle doesn't do much against Kaldra Complete, unfortunately. So I guess we can just get Wasteland to stop a Maze. But I don't think I want to do that just now. I kind of want to get Yamimaya just to fix my mana. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get Yamimaya, play Yamimaya. And I think I'm swinging for 6. I'm definitely swinging for 3. I feel like I'm swinging for 6 though. Yeah, let's swing for 6. Because Thalia's going to get bounced anyway. And then I'm going to have Crop Rot available if I need it. I can also just tap my opponent's Port on upkeep. I think I tap their Port, because that makes it so if they want to port something that effectively taps 2 of their lands, and still allows me to Crop Rot for Mace if that's what I'm interested in doing. Opponent takes 6, and we go ahead and untap. Tap your Rishadan Port. They just let it go, understandably so. I think I'm just going to return Thalia, and I'm just going to take 5 here. I could Crop Rot for Maze, but I don't have to, so I can just take it here. And this way I play around Wasteland that much better. Flicker Wisp would be kind of a beating. Recruiter. Okay, Recruiter's fine, because that delays the Flicker Wisp for a turn. Solitude. Untap. Not bad. Play Boseiju. Play Maze. Play Growth Chamber. So we get a zombie. We can also Crop Rot now to get 1 more zombie here. We can Maze the Boseiju, I guess. We can Crop Rot the Boseiju for Wasteland. I think I want to do that. Crop Rotation Boseiju for Wasteland. Make a zombie. And after I have done this, I can now blow up Port. And I think we're just bouncing the Growth Chamber itself, so I have access to a bunch of mana. Move to combat, swing again, and I can port on upkeep, and I can maze on combat. Opponent takes the Chomp, but they still take 3. Very interesting. Port your land. Opponent on tap. So Thalia doesn't do anything, it's just a dead card in their hand. If they swing, I'll just Kaldra. I'll just mace, I mean. So now we saved life. Wisp. So that's gonna get rid of the construct. Kind of annoying, to be honest. We have multiple draws that kind of win the game on the spot, right? Primeval Titan's one of them. Then... Oh, they bounce Stoneforge. Interesting. So Primetime wins on the spot. Udo would be pretty good. Raminap probably also wins. Maybe not. Another crop rotation. It's not great. It's actually kind of awkward. Yeah, I think I'm just falling a little bit too behind here. I really need to find a land there. So if I swing with everything, opponent just takes a block, and then they can Solitude something else. I can't really Bossage you for anything. So then I'm gonna get... Yeah, I just have to pass the turn. Like, this is very unfortunate. Like, that crop rotation draw was pretty dead. So tap on upkeep, because I don't really have much else going on. I guess next turn I'm going to use Semi-Growth Chamber to reset port into a second Maze of it. Maybe I should have done that this turn, actually. Definitely see that being the case. So I'm gonna maze the Kaldra and just take 3. Oh, I can just block the Endurance. I can just block figures with Endurance. Maybe my opponent's just realizing this, that's why they stop. So they're gonna Solitude the Endurance now. Which gives me 1 whole turn clock, right? Maybe they have the equipment that auto-equips. They're gonna flash in with Stoneforge. Oh no, huge punt from my opponent. Massive mistake. They just forgot that Endurance has Sneaky Reach. Okay, so we untap. We know opponent's got Batterskull. That's a land, so that's 2 zombies. So I think we're just doing that. The problem is if I do that, I'm not triggering Field of the Dead, which is kind of awkward. So I would really like to trigger Field of the Dead. Also, it limits my access to mana. Not by a lot, but by some. I can go get Boseiju to blow up Batterskull. That enables my opponent from hard casting Solitude. So I'm not super stoked about that. I think I just hang on here. Just keep bouncing my Growth Chamber. Ship the turn back. See what my opponent does. Probably gonna flash in Batterskull on my hands. They did not. Okay, that's a pretty big mistake. Oh, I should have ported their land. Whoops. Yep. I should have ported their land, huh? Oh, come on, dude. Really? Okay. Should have ported their land. So I guess I'm gonna hold on to 2 Maze of Ith. And if they have Wasteland, I lose. So hold on to Endurance. But this actually, I have Titan mana, as is, so I can just play Crop Rot and go from there. Either Vile, okay. Yeah, pretty big mistake there. Maze, yeah. So I guess we play this out just to have 1 more land. Bounce Maze, replay Maze, ship back. Man, that's brutal. That little misstep with the port potentially ends up costing me the game here. Oof, brutal. So here, whatever they destroy doesn't matter, it's going to just blank me. I guess it would have also given me 1 more turn, so it's not even that good. Blow up Exploration instead of Amulet. Okay, untap. Raminap Excavator. No. We still have Titan mana, for what's worth. Until they violate the Thalia that we know they have in hand. Then we no longer have Titan mana. Untap. Primeval Titan. Pass the turn back. On the plus side, we do have Titan mana again, so that's something. Oh, they can Caracas bounce their own thing? Oh my god, that's insane. So I'm gonna block Thalia and Maze. Yeah, so this forces them to bounce the Thalia, which gives me 1 more turn to draw Primeval Titan. So I guess since Primetime is the only card that really matters here, I'm going to fetch for the Taiga, which is the last fetchable that I have. Oh, never mind, I actually have Primeval Titan. Wasteland. Doesn't quite cut it. Alright, concede. We got a win game 3 in 5 minutes. Man, that card, pretty good. That Cataclysm card. I've been an enjoyer for a minute now. In the pre-modern format. I've been an enjoyer of Cataclysm. I think I'm not going to go for Tabernacle now that I need to kind of win quickly. So I'd rather have Forces. And we had 4 Titans, never found them. Let's only leave the one of Force. Once upon a time. This hand doesn't win, so let's mulligan. This one kind of does more at least, so play Trop. I'm gonna go Exploration into Growth Chamber, because I need to actually start developing mana here, so this allows me to get Udo turn 2 if I want, or something like that. Obviously, it exposes me to Wasteland, but we already have another Growth Chamber. Basic Plains. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna go get Uro. Because I'm still 2 turns away from Primeval Titan, so I think getting Uro is potentially better. I'm gonna plow it now. Okay, yeah, my opponent's on the time me out plan, I think, which is understandable. Wasteland for my Saga. Sucks for me. Play Oof, play Growth Chamber, replay Forest, pass. So now if I draw whatever, Green Sun Zenith or Primeval Titan, I should win. Caldera complete. Force of Vigor doesn't do anything. So let's blow up the Rishadan port and swing for 2. This Force of Vigor would be a Tabernacle, so I guess not as terrible. Primeval Titan, Crop Rotation. Swing for 2. Probably gonna Crop Rot the Trop into maybe a Saga. Start getting my opponent dead. No need to force just yet. Oh, there we go. Boom. Get Gruul Turf, and I guess I'll get another Ursa Saga. And swing. If my opponent continues missing land drops, I think I'm going to be able to get there. Collector Roof being very disruptive. Booyah! Hell yeah! 4-1, baby! 4-1 with Amulet! I am back, baby! Woo! Yeah, 4-1 with Legacy Amulet. That was really exciting, I'm not gonna lie. Things that I liked, I did definitely like Ur number 3. This card is just very interesting and very important, I think. And it's very easy to, you would think that you look at this deck list and you're like, oh, but it's going to be so hard to enable Uro. Truth is that I never really struggled to enable it the first time. Enabling it the second time is kind of tough, but Crop Rotation gives you 2+ cards already by itself. Expedition Map also fuels it. Once Upon a Time also fuels it. So it actually gets fueled rather quickly overall. The card that was the most disappointing was the One Ring. Like, I never really got to draw this and kind of go off. I do feel like it has a function though, which is to, against the matchups that are like a little bit grindier, and that in that context, it can be pretty good. But I don't know if I need help in those matchups though, so I don't know. The stuff like the Goblins deck, and then of course we didn't get paired against fast combo, spell-based combo, but I would assume those matchups are just straight up unwinnable, like stuff like Doomsday or things like that. I don't think those matchups are winnable potentially, so I'm focusing my sideboard into trying to beat the other style of combo decks that I can beat, stuff like Reanimator and potentially things like that. But I do think that this deck kind of has been impressive. I say this with a big question mark, but like, I went a 2-3 where I just memed, I literally pointed out the correct play in the previous video and then just like went for just casting Primeval Titan because I'm an idiot. We went for like a 3-2 with a list that I consider kind of not particularly great. And then we 4-1 with this one, losing to a pretty bad matchup. I do think that this is a deck that has certain matchups that you cannot win reliably. Like, that's just the way that it goes. So any sort of Blood Moon matchup, we're just not gonna be able to win. But it doesn't feel like Blood Moon is a particularly heavily played card these days, even when we played against the Painter deck, which is mono red, but they're playing Ursa Saga, so they can't even support stuff like Magus. I mean, they could if they really wanted to, but apparently they don't. That makes me pretty hopeful about this deck. And I have not really seen spell-based combos, so I don't know, maybe I've been kind of impressed by Crop Rotation, but I don't think I want 4. Like, we saw in that last match how awkward it can be when you draw multiples of this, and we only saw one situation where we would have liked to have had access to Dryad Arbor, and I don't think that's really going to be the rule. I just wish there was like another exploration effect that didn't suck. So I tried Summer Bloom in the past and it was not good enough. But maybe like a one-off Summer Bloom could be fine. Maybe I should be playing more Uros that actually do something. I'm not sure, but what I am sure about, however, is that I will definitely be playing this deck some more because this has been a lot of fun. And it has not been as embarrassing or as memey as I anticipated. We played against some real decks today, right? Like, we played against Death and Taxes, we played against Painter, so we actually played against real decks in the metagame, and we still were able to beat them, some of them pretty handily, actually. So I'm hopeful for the future of this deck, and I will continue trying it. It feels good to like get a 4-1 and get some chesties. It's been a minute, but yeah, that's gonna be it for me today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on the way out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and bye bye.